2016 Formula One champion Nico Rosberg took an epic dig at his former Mercedes F1 teammate Lewis Hamilton after the 7-time Drivers' Champion said that Valtteri Bottas was his best teammate in F1. Rosberg said that the only reason for Hamilton to believe that was because the Finn never beat him. Bottas will be leaving Mercedes F1 at the end of this season for Alfa Romeo F1, with George Russell set to replace him. After it was confirmed that Bottas will be leaving the team, Hamilton took to his Instagram account to thank Bottas for his efforts in helping the team win 4 back-to-back Constructors' Championships. The 7-time Drivers' Champion ended the post by stating that he hopes to win the 8th Constructors' Championship for the team before Bottas departs for Alfa Romeo F1. Meanwhile, Rosberg, who won 3 Constructors' Championships alongside Hamilton, was unimpressed by the Brits' post. While speaking at a sponsors event at the Dutch Grand Prix, Nico Rosberg responded to Lewis Hamilton's Instagram post by saying that Valtteri Bottas was his best teammate because he never troubled the Brit. Rosberg said Bottas was super useful, as he never beat Hamilton and was super chill. He ended his criticism by stating that this was the reason for Lewis Hamilton to claim what he did. Rosberg, who won the Constructors' Championships alongside Hamilton from 2014 to 16, also beat Hamilton for the Drivers' Championship in 2016. Rosberg even offered Max Verstappen advice on how to beat Hamilton in last season's Formula One title race. Rosberg heaped praise on his former teammate, calling him the best of all time, but added, "But as is the case with any human, there are also some weaknesses." Lewis also has these periods where he loses a bit of motivation. He has these dips in form, and there it's important to maximise those moments to keep him down for a bit longer. If all these ingredients come together, you stand a chance. When Mercedes delivered a completely dominant car in 2014, the World Championship became a 2-horse race, and Hamilton and Rosberg's childhood friendship deteriorated into a bitter rivalry. In an unearthed video while the pair were still teammates, Sky Sports F1 interviewer Natalie Pinkham asked Hamilton if he could mend bridges with his friend. The driver bluntly replied, "Well, we're not friends. We're colleagues, and we'll work with the team to get as many 1-2s and points as possible." The interviewer followed up by asking, "Does the fact you've known each other for a very long time not count for anything in terms of friendship?" Hamilton appeared struck by the question and mused for the moment before unenthusiastically responding, "Maybe." The pair first became karting teammates at Mercedes-Benz McLaren in 2000 when they were teenagers. Robert Kubica, who raced with both drivers before Formula One, recalled how they would be competitive both on and off track. He said they would even have races to eat pizza, always eating 2 at a time. However, when the drivers joined Mercedes in F1, their friendship and healthy rivalry developed into a bitter feud. But what do other Formula One drivers think of Lewis Hamilton? Valtteri Bottas has praised Lewis Hamilton for his ability to continue to improve every year during the pair's time together at Mercedes. Bottas departed the team for Alfa Romeo at the end of the 2021 season and will be replaced by George Russell. The Finn enjoyed a strong relationship with the 7-time world champion during 5 years in the German manufacturer's setup. You know, with Lewis, what has been really impressive is that every year he's been able to develop. He's got such a big experience in Formula One, but he's still able to always learn more, become better and better. For sure, I've developed every year as a driver, but so has Lewis, and it doesn't come automatically. He works for it because he knows that the competition always gets tougher. I've definitely learnt many things from him, like driving-wise, setup-wise, lots of small things here and there, but it's just been impressive that he's been able to still develop and not get too comfortable ever. He always wants more out of himself and the team around him, so that's been the same thing every year. He keeps getting better. Next season, Lewis Hamilton will be partnered with fellow Brit George Russell. Surely, Hamilton is a hero for Russell. Lewis is obviously the greatest of all time, but that's every driver's dream, and I've said that for the last 3 years that it would be my dream to be teammates with Lewis, because I want to learn from the best and I want to go up against the best. I really believe that Lewis is the best driver out there because I've been inside that Mercedes team. I know what he does. Quite often the best driver gets the best team. If every single car was the same, he'd still be fighting for the World Championship. There's not a single doubt about that. I think even he would welcome a more open championship. Meanwhile, Fernando Alonso has said that McLaren were to blame for the failure of his and Lewis Hamilton's partnership back in 2007, insisting the pair had no issues with each other. Alonso then then the reigning two-time world champion, was Hamilton's first F1 teammate at McLaren in 2007, but their relationship unravelled over a combative and often tempestuous campaign, as a sports-established star and high-rated rookie battled fiercely for a title they ultimately both missed out on. Lewis came into Formula One like a tsunami, with all his talent, all his abilities and results immediately. That was intense, and that was also challenging for everybody. Looking back, and I think Lewis will feel the same. We had no issues between us, no problems. We had a very tough competition, but fair. Honestly, I think, and probably he agrees, the team didn't handle the situation. I don't want to blame Ron Dennis, I don't want to blame any particular name, but as a team and management, we were too young, we were too ambitious, and nobody guided us in a way. Jenson Button believes this season's Lewis Hamilton is the best we've seen in Formula One, as he's at his calmest and most confident. Speaking earlier in the year, Button said, "For this time from McLaren to Mercedes, he has changed. Yes, but this year it's completely different. You walk in the paddock high-fiving people and calling them by their name, and it's like, where have you been this winter?" It's great to see. He's just confident in his own ability, which is great, really great to see that he's comfortable in his own skin. That, for me, is a big talking point of the year, how he's changed this year. He's so much calmer in the car. There's still adrenaline, right? And then you say things that maybe after the race you regret, but when he's out in the car, he's so calm. Monaco's a tough race, but I learned a lot and I'm moving forward. It's great to hear, and I do think it's from the heart and it's the truth, which is good. I think in the past there have been moments where he wanted to say something, then you see him collect himself and he's like, what should I actually say right now? And then he changes his answer. You can see it. You can see his brain working. And that has been the case before, and when we were teammates, that would happen as well. But now I do just feel he's confident in his skin and he's saying what he thinks, which is really good to see. And I think it's the best Lewis Hamilton we've seen. Interestingly, Daniel Ricciardo thinks that whilst Hamilton is a legend of the sport, he has been helped by his far superior car over the years that he's been at Mercedes. To answer it diplomatically, I think Lewis isn't the only one that could win races in that car. That's obviously my opinion, and I think that George Russell, in a way, showed the possibility of that by pretty much beating Valtteri Bottas in his first race. So you could argue that just maybe Lewis doesn't have the strongest competition. And Ricciardo concluded it could be easier to beat Hamilton in an individual race than over an entire season. I think where we can't be too aggressive or disrespectful to Lewis is that, do a few of us believe we could beat him? Yes, I'm quite sure of that, the Aussie said. But none of us have ever been in the hunt for a title. None of us have dealt with that pressure. None of us have had that year after year. Pretty much every weekend he rocks up to race. Yes, he has the best car, but he's also expected to win all the time. And if he doesn't, it's, okay, what's happened to Lewis? Taking on Max Verstappen is arguably the fiercest title challenge seen in years. Lewis Hamilton says his relationship with the Red Bull driver is quite distant, but none more so than his relationship with all the other drivers. Asked about his relationship with his title rival, Hamilton said, not a huge amount to say. There is limited communication. I think maybe some of the drivers hang more than others do. I wouldn't say I particularly hang closely with anyone particularly here. Last year we would see each other at the track, we would say hi, we would do the same this year. It's no different for me personally. So it appears to be a mixed bag of feelings towards Lewis Hamilton. However, you do get the impression that will bother him very little.